to talk vision and break coverage in cover three, that is. So we'll just get right into it. So here are some of the principles. Again, this could be a whole presentation in and of itself. And I have done clinics where it's just vision and break, three deep zone. So I'll just try to give you some of the finer points, and then anything I don't hit, just let me know. We can circle back to it. So what is cover three, vision and break? What is the essence of it, and why do we do it? Why do we do it? We do it to stop the run. We're gapped out. So every gap that the offense has, we have a hat to go in it. I don't care what personnel you're in. If you're in, it was taught to me when I was playing football this way, and it still makes sense to me today. One player equals two gaps. I'll say it again. One player equals two gaps. Great. So there's your center right there, right? So that's one player. That's a gap. That's a gap. So how many gaps does two players make? Three gaps. Two players make three gaps. Three players make four gaps, and so on. So if I just had a base formation here, right, a 10 personnel formation, I've got, right, 5 players. So that means I've got 6 gaps. So for us to play this defense, we're always going to have a hat in each gap, and we're only going to ask our guys to play one of those gaps. Obviously, the nose here, tackle here, our rush there, and then there's the mic, and there's the mic here, and then there's the will. So we're always going to be gapped out. And as the offense were to add another hat into that picture, we would add a hat with that guy. So we'll always have one hat for every gap. So we want to force the offense to be one-dimensional by taking the run game away from them. 3 deep players stay on top. So our 3 deep zone players are, generally speaking, our 2 corners and our middle field safety. They play high to low on everything. So in my opinion, college football in particular – was there a question? No. In my opinion, college football has become very much on defense is how well can you limit explosive plays, and then can you create takeaways? And I think this defense affords you the opportunity to do both, limit big plays and to create takeaways. Part of that being because those guys are on top. There is some stress on the underneath droppers, but you get really good at playing the issue routes. If you practice them all the time, you start to realize what formations and things like that you get them out of, and you can take advantage that way. This is big here. You force the ball into the kill zone, but really the drop-down bullets, the big thing there is vision and break. 99.9% of our vision is on the quarterback. Again, I go back to when I was in high school. I think the way it was taught to me, there was only one guy on the field that's going to throw you the ball, and that's the quarterback. The guys, generally speaking, defensive players want to watch the quarterback anyway. So, you're allowing them to do that, and you've got eyes on the guy that's going to throw you the ball. So you get really good at ball out break, clean feet, and sprint tackle. And that goes all the way back to what we just talked about moving in power. In order to be an efficient player to break on the ball and make plays, I've got to understand how to play and move in power. And then ball disruption, because we've got eyes on it, we create a lot of tips. And then we say tips and overthrows with those 3 deep players overlapping. A lot of times they're able to get their hands on them. So this is just a base look here at our run fit. So again, here you see a picture. This is an 11 personnel picture. If I drew in receivers, it'd be, there's your 3-by-1, something like that. Then again, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blockers. 6 blockers create 7 gaps. And you see here on defense, we're going to have 7 defenders in the box. So again, we'll have a hat for every gap that there is. Okay, and that's sort of how we fit the runs there. The guy that's going to change the gaps, and I don't want to make this a run fit talk, but just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. If you filled in all your defensive line, if they all rushed, you'd be looking at, you say, okay, what are your open gaps? You've got a D gap open, you've got an A gap open, and you've got a B gap open. Well, the D gap is only there so long as this tight end, this sniffer, and that was one of the questions on here, is how do you handle a sniffer? When the sniffer, if he can move, we got to be able to move with him, because if he runs, split zone, he comes back, that D gap's not there anymore. The D gap's now open over here, and we certainly don't want to run that guy all the way over to get there. So what do? We just fall it all back based off of that sniffer. As he goes, we declare fall, and the linebackers know to fall one gap further back than they were. So we started D, right? D, A, B, and then we ended up here. The D gap moved over when we just fell it all back. And that's just to give you an idea. So I'm getting a couple, just so you guys are aware. I'm getting Joe White is requesting remote control of your screen. So I don't know if you know who Joe White is.
Go ahead.
But I'm going to get after his ass. It'd be a hell of a deal. All
Okay.
right. So again, single gap defense, two gap skill set. We can hit on that. That'll be another conversation for a different time that's focused on run fits. Okay, here are underneath drops. All right, and I drew it this way for a reason. You see two outside thirds and an inside third, right? So there's our deep outside third players and then a third in the middle of the field. We play two buzz droppers. You see a buzz dropper, right? So there are sort of curl flat defender. We call it a buzz drop, and then two hook players. And I drew it this way for a reason. Here's really the beauty of the defense. Once you learn how to be a buzz dropper, you can play buzz from a variety of different positions. Once you learn how to be a hook dropper, it's the same thing. Third dropper, the same thing, so on and so forth. So what you can do is become multiple in how you create those different drops. You could have, it doesn't always have to be a safety that's a buzz dropper. It doesn't always have to be a corner that's a third player. You can do some different things and be multiple in that way. And here's a good example of that. I put this clip on here just to show you that. So like if you look around right here, we've got an inside backer that's walked out. We've got an outside backer that's back here like a safety. That's Pete Warner. He's really a Sam. And then we've got a 5 technique here that's actually going to drop. We got a nickel outside here. So if you look at how this whole thing's going to play out, we actually end up, we made a backer go call there, so we sent the backer. So we ended up as a buzz dropper here, a third player. This is actually our Sam linebacker there, Pete Warner, playing in the middle of the field, middle third, corner's the outside third. That's Tyreek Smith there. That's our defensive end dropping into the hook there. Again, the inside linebacker now playing outside, and then you see us, what was aligned, our middle field safety here is going to drop in and play the field hook. So, again, it's just the ability to teach these guys the different techniques, and then once you do that, then you kind of just plug and play, and you can really get creative with who you put where and how you build the different the different schemes from there. But it's carryover in the teaching. And one of the great things about doing it this way is just the way you're able to coach it now. You can kind of do some circuits. Like, okay, we're going to do buzz circuits. So you can take all the guys that would potentially play buzz, which is the majority of the defense, and then you split them up. You'd send the other guys over to go do hook, and then you switch them halfway, and then the other time you do a third drill, and so on and so forth. But you can be creative with plugging and playing in those different techniques. So let's outline a couple of those here. We're talking hook players now. We break up, and particularly you guys in high school would have to do the same because your hash marks are so wide. But we talk about the field hook versus the boundary hook. And before I go any further, like I wouldn't be, don't feel like you got to write down every little detail of where these landmarks are and things like that. The reality was, when we first put this defense in, they changed 4 or 5 different times. We just kept pausing the film based on where our drops were, and we looked at our underneath spacing. So I don't think you guys would need to do it any differently. If this is something you want to implement, just look at your film, and if it feels like you're not spaced out right, then just play with your landmarks. But generally speaking, we go hook landmarks are 10 to 12 yards deep. The field hook landmark is 2 yards inside the hash. And then from there, again, it's all off the quarterback. And everything here should say this is 49, but I should say 99.9, right? 99.9% of our vision is going to be on that quarterback. If he's looking outside of us, we're going to drop that way. So if I'm a linebacker here and here's the quarterback, right, and there's my hash mark, I'm dropping towards my landmark. But once the quarterback is set, I'm set. And if the quarterback's looking outside me, I'm going to shuffle outside. If he's looking inside, I'm going to shuffle inside. If he's looking right at me, I'm going to hold my point. I'm going to hold that landmark right there. So, again, it's a lot easier to play than even what it sounds. I mean, you just give them landmarks to know where to drop. And then after that, they keep their eyes on the quarterback. If he looks outside, they shuffle outside. If he looks inside, they shuffle inside. Now, just like anything else, this defense doesn't come without issues. So some of the issues you deal with, particularly with the hook players here, are speed at number 3. You get teams that want to run your vertical routes, particularly from 3x1s. I'll draw you a 3x1 here. There's the center, right? There's your guard tackle. And that over route there can be problematic, particularly if they use some sort of play action to draw that linebacker up. That's responsible for that hook window. So there's an issue there. 3 fast to the flat. I think I have these drawn, so let's just look at them. Yeah. So there's that over route that I was talking about there. But you get, again, they get good at whatever, whatever you rep repeatedly. And we teach our linebackers, if they see any hard inside run action, as soon as they know it's passed, they got to run back home. So they got to put their foot in the ground and run home to their drop before they can flip back around and get their eyes on the quarterback. So those over routes are problematic. You see a race route that's just coming from the outside receivers, the same idea. Boot, same thing, over routes. So you see the common denominator there are these over routes over the hook player that we're making him responsible for. And then here we see any 3 fast to the flat. We tell those guys to stretch to their outermost, and that's just coming from studying routes where 3 is fast to the flat. Generally speaking, you're going to have to push that hook defender wider than he normally would be to get in and close those windows. So those are some of the issues we deal with there. Try to move along here. And then here are, hang on a second, bear with me. Here is some of our drill work. So this would be the way, like I talked about the pods, like these would be our linebackers, but we would just as easily do this with, a linebacker and a safety. We would just have them start at their landmark and then drop in and teach them the hook that way. So but this is our hook drop drill. You see they're keyed in off the quarterback. Let's start with this. I mean, that stance should look familiar to you. That's just power position. And again, you see these guys, this time they're having to retreat, but they're getting right back into a power position. But you see, we're going to talk about the weak hook player's landmark, but his landmark is the hash mark. So he's just going to relate to that hash. He's pushing for 3 yards inside the hash, but watch them. They're all off the quarterback. So as soon as that quarterback sets, all right, the quarterback set, they set. And they get right back to that power position. Now the quarterback's vision goes to the defensive left. Watch how they left, right, break on the thrown ball, and then they're out. So that would be one example. Now, when we talk quick game, we want to get into windows right now. So right here, the quarterback catches the ball like he's going to turn a double play, like he's an interior infielder, turning the double play there. You see the ball comes up fast. These guys are going to push for width immediately. So they're not even going to drop when we recognize quick game. So this would be like your perimeter screens, quick game, things of that nature. You're trying to push for width and get in those windows and break on the thrown ball. Okay, so here's just a game clip of you're watching both of these inside backers here, these 2 guys, this guy here and this guy here. You're watching those 2 guys. But you see the field linebacker, you see his landmark is drastically different than the boundary landmark, the boundary hook dropper, where the boundary dropper is just sitting right on that hash mark. The field hook dropper is going to drop exit angle 3 yards inside the hash mark. He may never make it all the way there because, again, he's going to set when the quarterback sets. These guys are doing a great job in this picture. Watch, all these routes are going in front of their face, and they're not chasing any of them. Don't take any of that cheese. We are all off the quarterback. Obviously, the quarterback gets out of the pocket here. But you see, even this late in the play, we still have relative spacing here between the 2 of us about where we would want it to be. And that's really what we want are those hook droppers and really all 4 underneath droppers to be tied together. Here, to me, is a great example of why you play this defense. We're going to watch Baron Browning here on the hash mark. He's the weak hook dropper. So he sees run in his face. He does a good job of seeing, although it's run action, he's getting high hats. So, again, he's going to drop here with urgency. But once the quarterback's set, you see Baron, bang, he's back to set. And then before the ball is even thrown, that ball has not left the quarterback's hand yet. Barron's already into his break. And that's how you get in those windows. And this is what happens, man. These guys, they may catch the first one of the game. They're not going to catch them after that. I can tell you that from experience. That, you go pepper these wideouts in these interior routes and things like that. The next time that ball comes across the middle, they got the alligator arm, so to speak. So, but a great look there at vision and break. Here you're going to watch Malik, 39 here, right in the middle of your screen. And again, this is a great example of quick game. So watch how, see the posture, see the demeanor of the quarterback, see how the ball comes up right now. There is no drop. Bang, ball's up right now. Malik does a great job of recognizing that, and watch how flat he's going to break. I mean, that looks almost identical to the drill that we just showed you, them working against quick game. And Al Washington does an absolutely phenomenal job of coaching our linebackers. But here's a great, I mean, that's a pick and really should be a pick 6. And we go back to, we said, why we want to play this defense. Part of it was to create takeaways. Here's just another way to do it. Again, it's plug and play. I'm sorry, my spot shadows are jacked up here, but they actually aligned the inside backer is actually going to push here and be our buzz player. Barron is our strong hook player, and then Jordan Fuller from his safety is actually going to insert here and play the weak hook. So here's your two hook players there. Disregard the two spot shadows. I apologize for that. But there you see them. And again, Jordan drops in, and he's just off the quarterback. So as soon as he sees, let me go to the tight copy here. Watch Fuller as soon as he sees the quarterback's intent to throw. I mean, again, a front hand comes off the ball, and Jordan's breaking on it. But it's the same thing. Here you see Baron Browning, 99.9, Jordan Fuller, 99.9. All these guys are breaking on the quarterback. And though, that ball's thrown into a tight window, but the ball comes out. It's because we've got guys with vision on the quarterback breaking on the ball. So there's a rundown of the hook players. Let's go into the buzz droppers now, or sort of curl flat players. We talk about a V drop, which is just how we define our V drop. It should be just how we define our drop. It's just dropping at an angle. Our landmark would be 8 to 10 yards deep to the top of the numbers into the boundary. To the field, we would be dropping into the split, so halfway between the hash mark and the numbers. And again, guys, like don't. If you're writing these down, that's fine. You're going to have to tweak these. You need to look at your film, watch your 7-on-7, go out there and just do drops on air. I mean, that's where we started, and just look at your spacing underneath. And if something looks out of whack, then fix it. If you got to tighten a guy, then tighten him. If you got to loosen a guy, then do what you need to do. And then from there, guys, once they hit their drop, it's all the same coaching point. If he's looking outside of you, we melt that way. If he's looking inside, we melt that way. If he's looking right at you, then hold your threat. And again, to the field, the only thing that changes there is our landmark is no longer the top of the numbers. Now we're going to drop into the split. Okay. Buzz issues, I think I've got them drawn. So just some of the things we talk about here with buzz players. We align our buzz defenders inside with our outside shoe on their inside shoe, but their run fit is technically outside of number 2. So if number 2 goes to block them, we got to knock that guy back, but we've got to win outside. Okay, so that's something we work off of. Number 2 to the flat, again, understanding we're not a match defense. So even though 2 is going to the flat, I got to be in a position where I can leverage him on a thrown ball, but I want to affect this curl window. Again, it's 99.9% of our vision is on the quarterback, and we're not chasing routes. Now, any flat route that becomes a wheel is owned by the buzz dropper, and that could be a D end, a corner, a safety, a linebacker. Doesn't matter who that buzz defender is. If he sees a wheel route, he's got to drop and take it. There's some of the bigger issues there. 7 cuts. This is one you'll get a lot of here, particularly this 3-level flood concept that everybody runs against 3-deep zone. Anytime we feel 2 vertical releases in our zone, we're going to take our drop, but then we're going to hinge, and we would almost look like a cover 2 corner there, sinking for depth and width to get underneath of that 7 cut. So let me just show you again. Similarly to how you just saw us rep the hook droppers, here's how we rep our buzz drill. So again, this could be linebackers, DNs, safeties, corners. Right here, they're just buzz players. So you see him there. He's got his outside shoe on the inside shoe of the slot. He's going to pop his cleats on the snap. And right here, we were not working a reroute technique. We were just working straight drop. So there he goes, 8 to 10 yards in the split. Now he's melting off the quarterback. Quarterback gave him a thrown ball. So there you see him breaking onto like a check down. It's a good picture. Same thing. All right, so here he clears his cleats. There is no number 2. We're just working the V drop there. Quarterback looks inside. Okay, quarterback vision goes outside. Break on the thrown ball. All right, here's one now. So most of the time when we rep this is the way we do it, what I'm about to show you right here. Because in college football, like with high school football, rerouting and collisioning these guys being these receivers is a heck of a deal. And if you can do it, I think it behooves you to do that. So same way we teach it, though, is, outside shoe by alignment is on his inside shoe by alignment. We're going to pop our cleats on the snap. You see his vision never leaves the quarterback. And then right there, the only time it should leave is right here. He should just periph this number 2 pushing vertical. We want to reroute that guy inside out. In this picture, we've made a smash, smash, smash call, or we've simulated one by the corner. So anytime we've got 2 on a vertical and 1 on a hitch, the corner is going to say smash and squeeze the vertical. This would tell the buzz player to expand to the flat right now, and it's a heck of a one-handed interception there. If 2 were to stay vertical and 1 were vertical, you would see him reroute, get to his drop, and then he would flip his hips and hinge here, again, for depth and width to try to get underneath that 7 cut that's so popular against 3-deep zone. I think I have a good clip of that in a moment. Here's one more clip of it. Pop, pop, inside, reroute. There's your hinge right there. So there you see there is no number 1 outside in this drill. So we just said 1 was on a vertical. So he sees 2 is vertical. So after the reroute, there's his hinge, and the quarterback pulls the ball down to throw the check down, and we just have him break on that. The next thing we would do is we would get a half line together. So we're working here. Here's our buzz player, here's our middle field third, middle safety third. Here's our corner playing the outside third. You could add a hook player in here if you wanted. We didn't have one in this drill. You were a little too fast here with the buzz defender. He should have rerouted that guy, but there's a good picture here of our smash, smash, smash. Corner comes off to play the 7 cut, and we expand to go play the hitch. Moving right along here, same drill. All right, ball snap. Okay, so this is when we were V dropping here. We were not telling this guy to reroute in this picture, but there you go. There's a good exit angle, and again, he feels number 2 vertical. That's a good look at the hinge. That's what we want. So you see him pushing to 8 to 10 yards to his landmark in the split. He feels 2's on the vertical. He didn't get a smash call from the corner. Now he's going to flip his hips. You see him giving all of his, what was aligned, his far hip. So that's his left hip there. Watch that hip as it goes. Bang, that's the left hip now that he's flipped and given all of to the quarterback. So he's got great vision on the quarterback. If this goes to the 7 cut, he's in position to play it. If they check the ball down to the flat, he can stick this foot in the ground and drive that throw. All right, keeping it moving here. All right, good. There's a picture of your wheel. We just said all buzz defenders own any wheel. So there you see him. He's got a haul ass here. He's trying to cushion off that curl window, but he can't be out leveraged to the flat. And it's a good job of feeling that flat route become a wheel and taking it. You know, and it's something where they've got to get really good with their peripheral vision because, again, we want 99.9% of the vision on the quarterback, but they've got to have just enough periph there where they can feel that out route, that flat route become a wheel and take it. Okay, here's a good look here at a knockback and win outside in a game clip. So they're just trying to throw this perimeter screen here. You see that even though Shaun Wade is slightly, our buzz defender is slightly inside by alignment, we're telling them to run fit, to knock back and win outside on the run fit. And this is exactly why, because we want to push it here to our linebacker, who's the alley defender. Alley players run inside out to the ball. So there he goes right here. Bang. Shaun does a great job of leveraging this back. Again, our buzz term for that would be knock back, KBWO. It's written all over the place here, but knock back and win outside. And again, we're forcing the ball back to our alley defender. Real quick, I'm not going to take too long on this, but going back to special teams, this is the same way we cover punts. When we go punt the football, we play with an alley player, a force player, and a contain player. And if the returner goes this way, the alley player fits inside out of the ball. The force player is outside in. The contained player with depth is going to keep everything on his inside shoulder. But once the ball declares, because he's got time and distance, he can fold in. And this would be like our punter coming right there as a safety. But I didn't mean to get on a tangent. But again, going back to universal teaching, it's really the kicking game will teach you a lot of offense and defense as well. But anyway, good look there. The buzz player by going knocking back and winning outside. Here you're going to see him. All right, so the great job here that making it look like a press man, and then we're going to get out here on the hands up of the quarterback. Shaun gets a reroute there. He feels him pushing to the flat, does a good job with pocket movement. Anytime it's sprint out, boot, naked, anything like that, we want to go plaster these receivers. So now we go from vision on the quarterback to we want to cut down on the short throw, and we want to go plaster right to that hip of the receiver. Okay, keeping it moving here. Who are we watching here? Okay, up top. Bang, there's your reroute on number 2. That's a good job. And now you see him pushing with vision here. He's trying to get – it's hard to see because the film's a little blurry, but he's trying to get his eyes back to the cue, but he's pushing. He's expanding because the ball is going to be thrown outside of him, and does a great job pushing to that and making a play on the ball. And then here's a good look at why we play vision on the quarterback. A good job of not chasing a reroute there. We don't chase reroutes inside. We really don't chase reroutes at all. If the guy has to run all the way around us, he's rerouted himself. But a good picture here, the buzz defender, once the route clears him, right, the quarterback's vision is straight down the field. So you can see where the quarterback's looking. So he's just going to keep melting that direction and ends up melting right into that dig window behind the special route, and we end up picking that ball off. That's a great play. Middle field safety. We tell them you can play with their alignments. By situation, we could align anywhere from 10 to 14 yards or deeper. And if we're in the red area or something, we may be down at 8 yards. It just depends on how we want to game plan it. But you see him here taking scooch steps. So we want to scooch through any quarterback running, so like zone read, RPOs, quick game, things like that. Anything where the ball's coming out fast. we're in this read pedal. And then once we see the ball come up and it's drop back, now we go to a speed pedal here, and we're all off the quarterback. So you see there, I'm the quarterback here. The ball hasn't left my hand yet, and our middle field player is already taken off here on his break. And that's just the way we want him to play it in the game. Now, I think everybody here would agree we'd love for this guy to go up and get that ball, right? We want to go high point the ball. But here, and he's going to see him not do that here as well. But here's a good picture. I mean, same thing. He's in the middle of the field here, right? You see our middle field safety. He's keying off the quarterback. You see he's already broke right now. He's gone. He's already weaving that direction and has broken on the ball that is not even right there. He's gone. The ball's just being thrown. And as a result of that, he's able to overlap and go make a play on the ball. It's a great job. I'm going to roll through the corners here. I'm already over time on my 3-deep zone. So if I'm ever a single side corner, if I'm ever by myself, I've just got one receiver, we play it basically press man. The only thing we don't take man-to-man would be the sneak route underneath. So if he ran a shallow release all the way across the field, we wouldn't chase that. But anything else to a single receiver side, we pretty much play man-to-man on. Here's a good look at what I'm talking about with the sneak. So you see as we got anything out or vertical, that corner would own, but it sneaks releases underneath right now. So now I can zone off and I can help on this over route coming right here. That's a good picture of that technique.
Coach, not to interrupt or anything, just out of curiosity, a question some people might have. Even if that's FTB, formation of boundary, we're going to use still single receiver side, being to the field, you would still –
That's a great question. That's a great question. I would say general rule would be to play it off, but we would that's a question that comes up in the meeting room a lot. And generally, the way it's resolved is to say whatever he plays best. So if it's a guy that plays press really well, let him press. If it's a guy that plays off better, then let him play off. My personal preference, if it's just, if we're just X and O and on the board, is to play it off. That's a great question. Just because there is so much space out there, you're asking for a fade ball, but it's like as soon as you play off, then you're asking for the slant. So I think it really is personal preference of that player. If he's better in press, then press. If he's better in off, then then you can let him play off. But great question for sure. So here we are down here again. It's basically just press man in our third. It's an outside release, and we own it. There's a zone third up top, in which we're getting into right now. So now we want to make it look like press, and then we're going to bail out, and now we're playing a zone third. So if we have multiple threats in our zone, like Jeff does up top here, then he's showing press, but he's got to get out, and he's got to divide these vertical routes. So right now, he doesn't feel stress from number 2. If 2 were going to run the seam, he would be widening this by release. So Jeff doesn't feel like he's got to divide that so much. He squeezes number 1. But here, this is a hell of a job. I mean, it's bail with vision the whole way. He's on top of the receiver, and it really should be an interception. But that's really what we want from a zone third corner. And there is some route recognition. So although we are all off the quarterback, I mean, we're seeing through routes to the quarterback. Now, I would tell you if you watch, this is a really, really popular route concept in college football. I would assume in high school football as well. But it's that over route, and then you get a dig or curl coming in behind it. So Jeff recognizes the over route coming, and as a result of that, he's able to squeeze back to number 1. But again, you see him here. He's bailing. He's got vision inside. If they were all verticals to his side, he would divide those, but a great job of matching that route at the top once 2 threats became 1. Here's a good look at how we play verticals. This is coming from a stack here, obviously, but that's a good picture. You see Jeff right now dividing the verticals. So we say we want to lean 60% to the outside receiver, 40% to the inside. But again, it's 99.9% of your vision is on the cue, which Jeff has here. And once he sees the front hand come off, he's breaking into the seam right there. I apologize for these spot shadows. They're all off here today. But a great break, and that's a good example of a zone corner dividing the third. So, Coach, anything there? Any other 3-deep zone notes? I know I took longer than I should have, and I still feel like I didn't hit nearly enough. But
Coach, I have one question real quick.
Yep.
So say you get a 2x2 set with, instead of smash, you see hitch seam. And it's something that we see a lot against our cover 3. How exactly do you guys defend that?
So the same way. So the same way we would defend. Is this too light? Can you guys see me drawing here?
Yeah, we can see.
We can see it.
Okay. So the same way that on smash, the buzz defender, there's our buzz player, there's our corner. The same way that if we got smash, he would expand. He'll reroute and expand, and then the corner now, once he's made that smash call, the corner's got to drive that.
Okay.
So he can't just sit back and wait for that to come to the 7 cut. He's got to be closing to him, and as he feels that thing go to the seam, then he's got to squeeze it. Now, keep in mind, we've got a middle field safety sitting right here. So that's a really small window that he's got to fit that ball into. And again, the corner is, if he's running away from the corner, he's running into the middle field safety. But we would handle that the same way that we handle smash.
Okay.
Yep.
And then for four verts, I assume that's just the corner that's away from the quarterback. Is he rotating? Are you guys letting one seam go free against 4 verticals?
Great question. So one thing I would say about verticals is we got way less verticals than anybody would ever guess. And most of that is because I think we just set, 2 reasons. One, we had Chase Young, so I don't know if anybody felt like they could get the ball off. But 2, the other thing is when you're sitting your middle field player in the middle of the field, those are dangerous throws. And we've got an elite quarterback. I mean, we've got the best quarterback I've ever seen, and even he has a hard time putting the ball in those windows. But if we had a 2x2, here's a tool that you can use to help alleviate some of that stress. So just define however you want them, however you want to do it by game plan. But what you can do is have one of your buzz players carry a seam to his side. So
Okay.
if you lined it up, like there's your 2 buzz, there's your 2 hooks, hook, and there's your middle field player. So if we said carry left, and these guys ran verticals, anything vertical, you could have this guy carry that vertical, and it essentially turns into middle field man,
Okay.
cover 1, which we're about to go into. And that way your middle field safety can lean to the side that you're not carrying verticals to. And that way anything thrown to this receiver here, he should be all over. So he wouldn't truly be down the middle. He could then lean that post to the side you're not carrying your verticals.
And
so if you feel better about a matchup somewhere, or we do it by game plan, then that's one way to help alleviate the 4 verticals.
And you don't have any trouble with because you guys aren't, your primary purpose isn't to reroute. You guys still cover that just fine. Does that make sense?
Which one? The to the carry side or away?
Yeah. It would be away from the carry side. So the one that was to the side of the back, where you have your buzz player.
All right. So if we had a buzz player here and we're carrying on this side, you're saying the right side.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah. So again, we're going to reroute that guy.
Okay.
And as he goes, right. So we're rerouting him here. Again, the corner is going to divide that third.
Okay.
60% outside, 40% inside. And again, the middle field safety is leaning that direction. So we feel like by disrupting that route here, dividing it with the corner and leaning the middle field player, that there's no way they should be able to fit that ball in there. Yeah. Great
Thanks,
question. Coach. Absolutely. Any other 3 deep zone questions before we go into cover 1 into the man free?
I think you're good, Coach. What we're doing now, guys, we're opening it up. So feel free to get in the chat and drop a question. Then we'll ask Coach here at the end during the Q&A segment. But he can definitely go back and touch cover 3 then too, I'm sure. Is that okay, Coach?
Great. So I'm just going to kind of give you the once over here on cover 1. And Coach Pendleton, again, just jump in if you guys want different stuff or questions or whatever. That's fine. The beautiful thing here about the way we play our man free and our 3 deep zone, the run fits are exactly the same. It is literally 100% the same way that we went over it before, and that's a hell of a deal. Anytime there's carryover in teaching. But let's look at some examples here. I think we're watching. These were catch technique examples, I believe. So playing off man in the slot, like watch Jordan Fuller here. So let me quick once over of how we play off man. We call it catch technique. We leverage by game plan, really, meaning I will line on his inside or outside by game plan. And it's really based on where our help is. So if we're in a pressure, then we don't have any inside help, then we would probably leverage inside. And if we have a rat, which we do when we play this true cover 1, like he's got him, and he's a rat. So we have low inside hole help. and high middle field help. So we would leverage outside. And from a technique standpoint, again, I go all the way back to where I started. All it is here is just moving in power. So you got to be in a power position aligned to your leverage. And the big thing here is you get the kids need to learn how to get their eyes, feet, and hands to work together, and it's in that order. Eyes first, feet second, hands third. So you've got to have great eyes, great feet, and great hands. So what they're doing, all Jordan's doing here is he doesn't want to back up. It's almost like taking a charge here in basketball, and he's just going to hold his ground. He's even backing up a little more than I would like him to. And really what we want to do is create that right there. And I know the film's a little blurry, which I apologize, but it's catch technique for a reason, because that's what we want. We want to catch that shoulder. So if I'm aligned on his outside, I want to catch that outside shoulder here. What I don't like is you see him bang right there. He crossed over a little bit. What I'd love to see him do is the same thing that I started the meeting with. I'd love to see him step left, right there at the junction point and then let that open him up. But it's a good job there of being patient. And you see a pretty good picture there of him being square at the junction point. The junction point is just when he and the receiver meet. So a good picture here, again, of moving in power. I mean, this is Sean Wade. He get a stack here. We do a good job, and not to make this thing about, every little thing in game plan wise, but we did a good job recognizing the stack and getting out of it so we didn't get rubbed or picked. But watch how Sean Wade's moving. I mean, that's what we want. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. He's hopping just a little bit, but he's square, and he's able to change direction, break on a thrown ball, and it could have been a pick. I mean, as it was, we gloved the ball out, but it could have been an interception. Keeping it moving here, we're watching Seven Banks here up top in the slot. Yeah, good look. Look how square he is there. It's really good. He's aligned inside here. We're in a pressure, so we don't have a rat. We don't have low hole help, so he's going to align inside. But just look how patient he is. Watch him move in power. Watch. Right, left. A little bit of a hop, and then right here again, right, left. We stay square. We stay in power. We're able to keep our inside leverage, and again, we glove the ball out right there. That's a hell of a play, and that's really, really good. Let's watch it from this view, because this is a really, really good picture of it. Again, it's eyes, feet, then the hands. That's really, really good. That's what we want with catch technique. Here we are moving along, watching this is Sean Wade up top here. He's soft shoeing out of there a little more than I'd like. I'd like him to just sit right in there and be patient. But again, look how square he is. That's a good job of a kick slide here to go. That way he doesn't cross over, and then he's going to run to stay on top of the slot fade.
I had a question about that play.
Yep.
Why is your corner staying so far off to protect against the fade?
Right here?
Yeah.
That's a great question. Yeah. So I'd say two reasons. So one, if you watched us at all last year, we played a ton of 3-deep zone and we played a ton of man. And I think, if a team knows that you're in man and I was actually just watching a clinic by Josh Gaddis. He was talking about RPOs, and he was saying if they ever see this guy press and they know it's man, that you're getting that slot fade, right? So yes, I think you mentioned that to discourage the fade by us playing him off will discourage that fade. So it looks like zone. And then even if it is man, he can kind of hang in between here and off man. And if it's, thrown on a 7 cut or a fade ball from inside, he can help play that. So yeah, great question. All right, here we go. This is right here, I believe, again, on number 3. All right, again, watch how patient we are here. That's really good. I mean, no backup, very little backup at all. There it is. We create a junction point. We're square. We catch that outside shoulder. And then this is what I really like about this, and we don't have to get too far into it here, but notice that, like, right now, we are in the seam, right? We're between the hash marks. Anything thrown over our head in the seam is his play. So notice where Jordan ends up on this route in the seam. You see how he's let that route climb up on top of him? That's just what you want. We're really mimicking the underneath zone droppers in our 3-deep zone. So if these routes are in the seam in particular, if they're in the middle of the field, these dig routes, these over routes, things like that, you want to slide and try to play on the low hip, knowing that anything thrown over the play should be made by the middle field safety. But great patience there, great eyes, hands and feet working together. Good job creating a junction point. Let's watch it from this view. inside leveraged here. Square, lost his leverage a little bit. I'd like to see him right, left step to keep that leverage, but he does a good job of getting hands on, does a good job here of grabbing the hips to pull through. They'll let you grab the hip, but you got to grab it quick and let go. And that's a good job. It's a really good job.
So, Coach, when you talk about catching that outside shoulder, where are you teaching hand placement?
Right. We literally want to think about catching the outside pad. So
Okay.
I don't know if you guys can see my hands on the screen or not, but as the shoulder pads are coming to me, if I were catching my own shoulder, I'm literally catching that shoulder pad right there.
Okay.
I think you saw a good, a good clip of it on the last one there, even from Jordan. We're really trying to get our hands right on that inside or outside pad based off of our leverage. We got Jeff up top there. I don't know if I went into corner stuff here or not yet, but this is a good job up top here. Let's watch Okuda. Now we're talking corner play and press. Just really patient there at the line. He's on top. The route is a great job and great finish. Let me just see where I am here. I lost my spot. Let me come back to that. All right, so I had several more catch technique examples. I think we've seen those. Just a couple things here for the corners and off man. Generally speaking, we play 7x1 to our leverage, so inside or outside based off the split. And then we want to shuffle step with eyes on the quarterback when we're an off man, and we're really keying through 3-step more than anything. It says QB mesh and 3-step, but more so 3-step. Anything where the ball's up right now and the quarterback's going to throw a slant or a hitch or something breaking in front of us, we want to be able to drive it. And as soon as we know it's not 3-step, then our eyes go 100% to our man when we play off man. So here's a couple looks at off man. Watching at the top of the screen here. He's off. It looks like he's inside. You can see his eyes are on the quarterback to start. It's a good look at eyes transferring here. You see him sort of shuffling through there, step, replace, step, replace. Now he sees it's not going to be quick game. It's drop back. So his eyes go 100% to the man. He's in great leverage position there, and he'd be in position to drive on the route. They threw it the other direction, but good leverage. Be frozen up here. 1 second. Bear with me. There we go. Okay. I think we're going to be down here at the bottom of the screen again. Yeah, we are. So, again, we're watching right here. All right. So, again, to the field, this is a really good look for us because the way we play 3-deep zone with a single receiver, we'd be pressed. And then, to a 3-man side, we'd be off. So we're actually in man free here, but it looks a lot like 3-deep zone by playing this guy off. So going back to that question that we had a moment ago. But so here you see us again. We're shuffling through the 3-step of the quarterback. It's not quick game. It is a drop back. So eyes go to the man, foot in the ground, and drive. It's a good picture there again of off man.
So, Coach, is that something you give your corners freedom to play with, or is that something you guys make a call with the coverage?
Great question. So,
that?
Yeah, great question. So it's we would not, generally speaking, we would not put that as part of the call, and we do give our guys some freedom. Some guys more than others, but generally speaking, it would be part of the game plan. It would be, hey, to a 3-man side, to the field, if you get a 3-receiver, look, I want you to play off this week, or, I want you to stay in there as long as you can in 3-deep zone, and then you're going to bail late. So just finding different ways to create, a disguise, to create a different picture for the offense, but not, jam ourselves up by being overly tricky or anything like that. But more so by game plan dictated than dictated by call. Or to just give them the freedom to do that, more so game plan oriented. Okay. Yep. We're watching up top here, off man again. You see him step replacing there through the quick game. All right, ball's coming out. He's driving it. That's a good picture of it. Watch how quickly he gets that foot down. And this is what we want when we transition. We want to get, we don't kill them on it's a T-step. It's a this. No, get your foot down. Get your foot on the ground and drive. So get that bang. In this picture, it's that right foot. Get that right foot down and then gain ground there with your left foot. Get your right cleats in the dirt and gain ground with your left foot. And I'm frozen up here again. Bear with me. There we go. 1 second. There we go. All right, and then so that's the man-to-man stuff. I did that. Had 1 or 2 press clips in there, but we saw some of that with 3 deep zone. Okay, here's there were some questions about bunch. I just want to hit real quickly a couple different ways to play the bunches. Some more straightforward than others. I'm sure we've most of you guys have probably played these at some point or another. I apologize here for whatever reason my machine is starting to freeze up on me a little bit. But all right, so here's this is as straightforward as it gets here. This is just lock and level. Really, we should be deeper here with the corner. We should be 7 yards off here at corner, but we want to be something like 0.47, something like that. But we want to be on different levels, and we like to play lock and level, meaning lock meaning this: I got this cat, you got this cat, you got this cat. We're not passing anybody off. We would prefer to play this when we have a rat. So like in this picture right here, the linebacker's the rat. So he's going to cut that crosser, which frees up this corner. So although we're in a little bit of a bind by locking on, so like Damon here, he's got a long way to go to get to this under route, but he's going to be okay because he's going to get rat help inside. Even though the rat already bought that route, he's gaining this rat now because this guy was able to fall off because his shallow route was cut. I don't know if I did a good job of explaining that, but again, we have a rat in there, so we just level it, or excuse me, we lock it all up, count on our rat to help us on anything inside breaking. If it's mesh, he's going to take one, and whoever got freed up is going to take the second one. And really, Damon, once he sees this guy, has him, Damon could free up now and become really the third rat in that particular play. So that's one way, is to just lock everybody on and don't change anything. Here's going to be another way to do it, is to lock your point guy. Now, most people, and we do this too, most people will lock here. They'll lock the point man, right? And then they would play in and out off of number 1 and number 3. And we do that as well. We have that capability here. We wanted to change it up, and we locked number 3, and now we're playing in and out off of number 1 and number 2. So you see Sean here is going to take all the 3, and then the 2 corners here just let number 1 and number 2 sort out down the field, and that's how they play them. And I think the thing with bunches, and I don't know how much you guys are playing man and how much you got to worry about man beaters out of bunches and things like that. But my feeling on the bunches are you don't need more than one way to play them in a game necessarily. But if an offense knows every time that they go to bunch, if they can game plan you, then they can probably scheme something pretty good up. So just being able to change it week to week, if you're getting a lot of bunches and you're a man team, being able to do that, I think is very helpful. And here we are playing the in and out off of 1 and 3. As I said, most teams do. We've pressed the point, and now here and here have in and out off of 1 and 3. So you see 1 and 3 switch, and those 2 guys just sort those guys out and take them as they come. And again, we're locked up right here on the point man. Okay, got a couple more here, and then we can get on to the next thing. But all right, really freezing up here, so maybe I'll just make this the last one. But here we go. All right, this is a concept we call. Let me watch it first. I don't remember what this one is. Okay, this is called triangle. So we're going to take this guy on the point now. This is in the red area for us because you got to get another hat involved. So you're losing your middle field safety here. So again, this is a red area play call for us to take the safety out of the middle of the field now and involve him in the bunch. But if you want to be able to get 4 on 3, then you're going to have to take your middle field safety out of it at some point. So he being the point man's got all of number 2. And then he's got the first outside. He's got the first inside. And then he's going to double based off the first release. So right here, you got switch releases now. So check that. Here's a vertical, and then here's an outside. That's the first release right here. So he takes the first out. He now slides outside because that's the first release. Now, Malik should be pushing to go body this up. And what you end up with is a double on the vertical routes. So, again, take this guy out of it, and let's say he runs the dig. Check that. And we'd be probably more likely in the red area, right? You get the 7 cut with the flat route. So if you got the flat route, again, take him out of it. He takes the outside piece. That's the first release is outside. So he would slide outside your 7 cut, and Malik, the backer, would stay inside of that. So you're kind of a moving triangle on the routes as you go. It's a really, really good way to play it. Not a lot of teams play that type of defense. It does take some expense, it takes some reps to get good at playing that, but it is really, really good. And then this is the last way I had for you. I'm sure everybody's played a version of this. This is just old school box. So you see we're really just building a box. He's high outside, low inside, and high inside. You see all that. Makes an ugly box, but it's a box nonetheless. So there are just
Coach,
some ways that – go ahead.
So it's you guys game plan if you see a team that's playing some bunch, you guys just automatically have a bunch call, and then that's the defense you go into coverage wise. Is that the way you guys attack it?
So I mean, there's a number of ways we can do it. Generally speaking, if we're in man to man, like we have the ability to go from man to just check the whole defense and say, hey, we're going to play zone versus any condensed formation, whether it's bunches, stacks, anything where everybody's tight to the core of the formation. We have the ability to just say, hey, the hell with it. We're not playing man. We're just going to play zone. But within our different coverages, we have bunch rules. So like in the past, if we were going to play a quarters concept, any bunch in quarters was going to be box. Whereas, when we play man-to-man, it might be we're going to press the point and play in and out on 1 and 3. So getting back to your question, it'd be like maybe we know the first 3 games of the year, we press the point and play in and out on 1 and 3. So going into game 4 or game 5 or whatever it may be, if we're expecting more bunches or we think they're going to try and scheme us up that way, then we may adjust. We may say, all right, we're going to press 3 and play in and out on 1 and 2. Or we're going to lock everything just to change it. So, again, I think – there are beaters for everything. So if they know the way you're always going to play, and that's not just bunches. I mean, that's always and nevers in football, right? If they know that you always do something or you never do something, then they can game plan you, right? They can scheme you up a little bit. So just having 1 or 2 different ways to be able to adjust, I think, makes you a little bit more of a moving target. So I had a couple other things in here, Coach Pendleton, to hit. I don't want to take forever. So I know we're approaching time here. So what questions do we have? I'm happy to answer or whatever you guys would like from here.
All right, we got a few questions here from some of our viewers. The first one is someone just asking if you could elaborate a little more on the stacking receivers on vertical routes, exactly what you're trying to accomplish and how you're trying to accomplish that, whether it be eye control and landmark of what you're trying to do there.
We're talking in man-to-man?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can get you one here. All right, let's go back because we did kind of brush over that. So, I've seen press man taught a lot of different ways, and they're all really good. I'd say the things that translate, no matter who's teaching it, the things that carry over are to be patient and square at the line of scrimmage, and then you got to get your hands on, right? So like here at the line of scrimmage, we take, Jeff's trying to stay as square as he can. We've done different things. Like we had him take a very small read step just because they want to move on the snap of the ball. So we were kind of defining for them how to move. But like right here, this is pretty good. I mean, outside release, we're not going to chase our hands. So like if that guy just wanted to run almost a wheel release, if he ran way out here, then I would just kick and go get on top. That's really what we want to be, is on top of all the vertical routes. We're going to own anything vertical, and we'll compete our ass off on the comebacks. So like right here, we're getting an outside release. Jeff is going to shuffle and stay square, and then he's going to offhand jam here. Watch, you see him bang. There's the offhand jam. So the release is to the defender's left. He's going to take his right hand and shoot it. Offhand jam to affect the route. And notice where Jeff is the entire down. Notice he's on top the whole way, but he's not just running out of there. I mean, he's in phase with the receiver. So if he gets the back shoulder, which he's getting right here, he can then push through and make a play on the ball. The key to the back shoulder, just while we have this clip, is if I'm the corner and I feel that inside shoulder start to give out, the back shoulder's coming. And you want to drive right through it, secure the tackle with your upfield arm, and then glove it out with your near arm.
And then for off coverage, man-to-man off coverage, like let's say that you're getting a bench route or something from an outside receiver where he's going to actually push in the beginning of the route, or are you just going to mirror it and stay over top of it and try to maintain leverage?
Yes, yeah. So, and again, this to me, it always goes back to the kicking game. If I stood in front of our special teams meeting right now and I said, if you got it, everyone would spit back to me, keep it. If you don't got it, and they'd all spit back, go get it. And that's to me the whole game. Oh, you got me on a tangent now, but the whole game of football is a game of leverage. I know it's a game of heart, and those don't get. I'm not discrediting those things, but the X's and O's, the actual strategy of the game of football, in my opinion, it is 100% a game of leverage, and we're all trying to create leverage and do different things to either get it back or to create it. But to me, as the corner, whether I'm off or press, whatever, if I've taken a leverage, I want to own that leverage. So like in this picture right here, Damon has outside leverage. So even if this receiver were to stem him inside, Damon's going to shuffle to stay relative to his initial alignment. So we got him 7 yards by 1 yard right here. So he's right on that outside shoulder. So as this inside stem goes, if I'm Damon, I want to shuffle inside and keep that same 7 by 1 alignment as long as I can. So, it may go from 7 to 6 to 5 to 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm at the junction point, but I should be right on that outside shoulder no matter where it goes. So again, if it hard inside stems, I want to shuffle down inside to keep that same position right on that outside shoulder. Conversely, if I got an outside stem, it's the same thing here. I want to shuffle outside. What I don't want to do is go running outside. I don't want to go running outside because these guys are going to widen you to then snap routes off back inside. And there are some other little coaching points like going particularly with a condensed formation like this. As this thing were to push really wide, we really talk to this guy more about going straight back and almost, not to say giving up that leverage, but again, what we don't want to do is go run outside. So we're really just fighting to keep the same leverage that we were aligned with throughout the down. But great question.
And then another question we had here, Coach, is your middle of the field safety, your teaching point. Is it the same or similar to cover 3, or you want to teach that a little bit different?
Yeah, it's from a drill standpoint, we really drill it the same way. We talk about it in the meeting room being a little bit different. The big difference is this, right? It comes down to, in my opinion, verticals. So like if this were 3 deep zone, right, and we got all verticals here, right, we're counting on this middle field safety, right? He's got to eliminate these 2 verticals. And again, we talked about different ways we can do it. We can carry this vertical, which allows that corner to squeeze, which allows him to favor, this side vertical. But in the zone defense, at least one of the seams we don't have somebody running with. So in 3 deep zone, he's got to really make sure he's on top. He's got to have great depth. He's got to be able to break on any thrown ball. In man-to-man, right, we're carrying all these routes vertical. If it goes vertical, we're going with him. So in man-to-man, we can be a little bit more aggressive in man calls than we can be in 3 deep zone calls because we have guys that are covering them. But from a drill standpoint, we really drill it about the same way. We just talk through some different coaching points between man and zone. Another good one.
Any other questions, Matt? I know you've been compiling some. If not, I have one more at the very end.
Yeah, I have a question. Let's see here from Coach Carter here. He says, I'll read it to you. What are you teaching your hook and buzz players to help them better defend RPO teams as those players are put in a bind to be in a run fit or to get in a pass fit or pass drop?
Great question. So let me see if I can. I'm trying to get a diagram because I can draw this one better than I can explain it, I think. But let me go back to this. So really from an RPO standpoint, right, let's create a 3 by 1 right here. All right, there's our 3 by 1, right? And let's put, generally speaking, RPOs come from the side of the back. So let's say that guy's not in there and this guy's here, right? So if you got RPO, it's going to look like that, right? And then we'd have a buzz defender right here and a third corner right here. So And that's why we align, like we said our run fit is technically outside of number 2, but we align him inside of number 2, and we do that really to help us on the RPOs. Now, from a run fit standpoint, again, we're gapped out. All of these guys have a gap. This outside linebacker has that D gap. So really it's less stress. They would say he's the conflict defender. And we would say, since we play middle field defense, we're really not in conflict. Whether we're in 3 deep zone or man-to-man, we're really counting on that buzz player to handle that RPO for us. The one you get most of, right, are either double slant or you get, slant and he's on the flat route. I know there are more than that you get, but, those are the main ones you get. And what we're asking that buzz player to do is hang inside of number 2. So to answer your question, what we do is, I think it starts off with an awareness of the location of the back. And again, I know some teams will run RPOs to the alignment and away from the alignment of the back. But if you studied them, I bet you would find that most RPOs come to the side of the aligned back. So, having really holding inside, and then I don't know if you could see it on the drill work, but the reason we're having our buzz defender pop his cleats on the snap of the ball with his eyes inside on the quarterback are, if he sees any mesh, right? So if there's the back, if he sees anything where the quarterback and the running back are coming together, anything that looks like zone read or just a handoff, he's going to really hold inside of that number 2 receiver. And if the ball comes up and it's RPO, then he'll slide inside. He's going to stay inside of number 2 with any mesh, any action in the backfield. We really teach that buzz defender to stay inside of that guy. And even in our man-to-mans, I don't want to give all the answers to the test here. I don't know who all is listening. But even in man-to-man, sometimes we may leverage a little bit differently based off the location of the back or based off of where we think we're getting the RPOs from. So great question. But, we try to take that RPO conflict off of the linebackers as much as we can. And if you're in quarters, it's a little harder to do it then. You kind of got, because you're counting that apex player as he's out there playing pass, but he's also in the run fit. And it's not really the case for us. Our buzz player, the guy that's outside on number 2, he's not in the run fit. So it's a little bit different for us. It's really man principles.
Coach, you might have already hit on this. I was doing some monitoring here, so I might have missed it. But
all good.
The RPO that I was looking at more is I think what you guys call crunch. I might be, so skinny post and you got an under route coming behind it, a shallow route. How do you guys really handle that? Would your corner just drop and squeeze, and then that backer just cap that under player?
Talk me through. Talk me through which route concept you're saying.
So it would be out of 3-by-1, it'd be your slot running a post to just occupy the middle safety, and then trying to run a shallow in behind it from the outside receiver.
Something like that?
Yes.
You guys can see this okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so buzz defender again, right? Let's just call him the safety for now, right? Buzz defender is going to hang inside. He sees mesh action, right? Running back and quarterback come together. He's going to hang inside of number 2 and reroute number 2 as he comes by him. Now, that route is obviously going to the middle field safety. And then this route right here, right, that should be – once he reroutes this now, he's expanding. He should be right in that window.
Okay.
In 3 deep zone for us, we feel pretty good about denying that one. But we would not tell the corner to squeeze that, particularly in a 3-by-1, because if this just were play action or something, that became a 7 cut, he'd have to make that play.
I meant he wouldn't even squeeze the slot receiver vertical to make him – run towards the middle safety. Yeah,
so the corner, absolutely. So this is really what this is goes back to smash. This is smash rules.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, as soon as he sees 1 is low and 2 is high, he's squeezing, but he's going to keep outside because he's going to squeeze to him. So, we had a coach ask about the hitch with the seam inside. And so the corners is staying on top of that and chasing it. And just like you said, Coach, he's going to run that thing. If that bends inside, he's bending it right to the middle field player. But he's got to keep his outside leverage because if that thing goes to the 7 cut, he's outside of it. But, absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions, anybody? If not, I got one here from Coach Birchfield. he just wanted to know, ask how meeting with Zoom with your player meetings was, and if you could kind of elaborate on the advantages and disadvantages or how effective that is.
I'm sorry, the question was the advantages and disadvantages of meetings on Zoom.
Yeah. If we was able to conduct some meetings.
Yeah. So good and bad, just like anything else. The bad thing is I think you're, even in this, I hope you guys got something out of it, but there's an extent of interacting with other human beings, and you can kind of feel the room. If I ask a kid a question in the meeting room, I can look at his face and tell whether or not he understood, and if he didn't understand, I can come back and do it again. I know you can kind of see faces here, but not really, so there's a little bit of that. You lose some of the human element. I like the idea of doing what we just did, the screen share element. And boy, I really ate those words about having guys being able to draw on the screen. That one really came back to bite me in the ass really, really fast. But, when you're doing it with a mature room and guys aren't trying to mess the meetings up, then, you can have players that are annotated. So like, I could say, hey, Jordan Fuller, draw the climb route here for us. And, he could draw on the screen and things like that. So, for the situation that we're in, it's nothing about this is ideal for anyone. But, I think there are elements of this that I'm glad we all had to learn, because I feel like I will use some things I've learned here using Zoom and some other remote tools that I'll coach with using, for the rest of my career, I would think. So, there's some silver lining there.
Absolutely. Any questions from anybody else?
We got one more came in just from Coach Woodward.
Yep.
Just says, show the hinge technique one more time versus 2 vertical routes with 3 receivers.
Absolutely. All right. So here's what we're talking about. And I can put the clip back on for you, Rob, here in a minute. But so we're saying, so we assume that number one, we meaning the buzz defender. The buzz defender assumes that number one is always vertical. He will get a smash call from the corner if one is not vertical. So anytime he feels number 2 on the vertical, he's going to reroute that guy. And then we assume one is vertical. If we saw 2 vertical, because that's who we're rerouting. We saw number 2 running vertical. So I'm pushing for my exit angle, my landmark, which if the ball's on the hash mark, we defined it for him. We said it's 8 to 10 yards between the hash and the numbers. Now, once I feel number 2 is vertical, I'm going to flip my hips now, and I'm grabbing depth as I'm grabbing width. And what was my aligned near hip? So in this picture here, my left hip is aligned to the quarterback. Or excuse me, my right hip is the far hip. I'm actually, as I drop, I'm going to drop and give the quarterback that far hip. So you think about your right hip being pointed to the quarterback as you're dropping this direction. And as I say that, now I'm going to pull up. Hang on, let me do this one more time. Share. All right. And out of that. And then. Yeah, I think it was this right here. So here's a good look at your hinge. Watching the buzz defender aligned inside. So again, we would this is not a reroute. We just practicing our V drop here. Would normally be inside of 2 until we rerouted them, but there's our 8 to 10 in the split, and there's a good look. That's what we want from the hinge. It's not like a herky jerk robotic motion. It's very fluid. Once you're so again, it should be pop, reroute 2. Now, once I reroute it, I'm exiting like he is right there. Once I feel that 2 is vertical, bang, I flip my hips, and now I've given the quarterback all of my aligned far hip. And I'm grabbing depth as I'm grabbing width. See how he finishes all the way out here on the numbers. We tell that guy to top his drop off at 14 yards. But if he sees a thrown ball, then obviously that's going to carry him deeper than 14. But that's really it right there. That's as good a look without a reroute. And that's as good a look at it as you'll see. Again, it's just into your drop. It's vertical. Flip your hips. Grab depth and width. Trying to just cushion underneath that 3-level flood route.
I got 2 quick questions. You won't need any film or drawings for this. For blitz coverage, are you guys more man or more zone?
We have the ability to zone pressure. We have been far more. If you were to break us down, you would say we're a man pressure team by far.
Okay.
By far.
Yeah. And then your adjustment to empty, are you do you change much? Is it mostly, do you play combo coverage? Or are you still sticking to your man or zone that you typically run?
Yeah, I mean, so that kind of goes back to me, kind of the same bunch conversation, right? Like,
okay.
if if I've got an always or a never on you, I can scheme you up, right? So if I'm the offensive coordinator and I know every single time you go to, I give you empty, you're going to check to whatever. You're going to max pressure us, or you're going to 8-drop us, or you're going to combo us, or whatever. If I know you're always doing that, I've got an answer for you. I can beat that coverage if I know it's coming. So without having to play, I'm not saying you got to be able to play 6 different calls every game to empty, but week to week, if you're expecting empty, you'd love to be able to have a couple different pitches to throw. As a general rule for us, we're a play it team. So if we've got a man pressure call, we're generally going to run the man pressure. Zone, we're going to run the zone, and we just adjust it out to empty. And then there's a little bit of coaching point that goes into it. Even with the man pressures, some of your 5-man man coverage pressures, you don't necessarily love them versus empty, and maybe you would get out of that and stay with man to man and let your 4-down go rush. But instead of bringing that extra linebacker, you might make him a rat or a spy on the quarterback or something like that.
Any other questions? I guess not.
Good.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much for your time. And everybody, before everyone jumps off here, just wanted to thank everyone for tuning in. And thank you for bearing with us. Obviously, I know we had a few hiccups there and some few things went on. We're going to work diligently on that this week and make sure next week's a little more secure chat or whatever we can do. I know everyone's dealing with this, hackers and people sitting around not having anything better to do, but we're going to make sure we get it cleaned up. Thank you, guys.
And also, we recorded starting from the Cover 3 talk because that was kind of after everything happened. And I know Trevin's working on a website, some other things, so you could view this again.
Yes. We already have a Facebook page, or a YouTube page called it's called Call and Audible. So you guys tune in there on YouTube. We're gonna have all kinds of different things on there throughout the year. So thank you, guys.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for putting this on. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Coach.
Have a great one.
You too.
Thanks.